This is the Earnings Backtest tool. The first thing you'll notice is that it auto-detects the last earnings gap. Here it's auto-detecting that Apple gapped down 8.58% on the last earnings, and therefore that's where it sets its parameters. Of course, you can change it if you want. If you don't want to go through every parameter and just want a simple backtest, you can answer a few questions and let TIA set the parameters and run the backtest for you. When you first click on TIA, the first thing it asks is whether you want to backtest earnings gap ups, gap downs, or simply match whatever Apple's last earnings was. Let's select match Apple's last earnings. Next, it asks how many days forward you want to project. I always choose until the next earnings for these tests. Then it asks which upper and lower levels you want to test for first touch. I'm going to set both at 10% because I want to see whether the stock hits 10% up first or 10% down first when Apple gaps down the same way it did during the last report. And here are the results. When Apple gaps down 8.58% or more on earnings, by the next report, it closes higher only 50% of the time. So it's basically a coin flip. Once you close the window, the results don't disappear. They stay right here in this section. Another great thing about this tool is that you can scroll down and use the chart log. The chart log shows you exactly how the chart looked on every gap down of 8.5% or more and what happened afterwards. This gives you a quick, clear visual of what to expect. After that, scroll down and you'll find the table log. It lists every single earnings where Apple gapped down by at least the same amount or more. You can see here there are 4 other cases. These table logs are excellent for studying. Now, one important concept every time you're backtesting is to always check your results against the baseline. This tool shows you both the baseline and the specific parameters of your backtest, so you can compare them side by side. Here, for example, the baseline for any Apple earnings report is that the stock closes higher 70.7% of the time by the next earnings. But when it gaps down 8.58% or more, that drops to a coin flip at 50-50. That's a huge 20% difference. Knowing this gives you a real insight on how to approach stocks after their earnings reaction. For instance, you probably shouldn't just buy Apple when it gaps down 8.5%, because historically it tends to go nowhere until the next report.